Power on. Captain Power and the soldiers of the future.
Well, hello, Captain Power fans, fellow Captain Power fans, and welcome to an exploration of the wonderful music to the series Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. And I'm going to be discussing the music that is found on this audio CD that was released years back and is a collector's item now, rather hard to come by. This is what the CD itself looks like. And my name is Peter Morano, and I'm the author of a new book on series Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. And today we're going to explore the one-of-a-kind music that this particular series featured, and it's the music of composer Gary Guttman. And we're going to be discussing actually 12 tracks from the CD, and it's got about 40 tracks actually all told on this particular recording. And so I can't wait to get started. We'll have discussion, but also I'm going to play for you the musical tracks themselves so that you can listen and we can proceed along those lines. Now, before we get started with the music and the discussion, we have to listen to these words, sort of the disclaimer. Very important. By the way, the musical excerpts featured in this discussion are included solely for educational and informational purposes. This use constitutes free commentary intended to foster appreciation for and understanding of Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future and its unique musical score. These excerpts are presented under the Fair Use Doctrine, and no part of this podcast is intended for sale or commercial gain. All rights to the music and original recordings remain with their respective copyright holders, and this discussion does not seek to infringe upon those rights. By using these excerpts in a non-commercial and educational context, my aim is to respect copyright laws while sharing critical insights with fans of the series. Back again. So a question I have for you at the start is, why has Captain Power's music stayed with us all these years? Well, we have to talk about Gary Guttman. Gary Guttman's score is more than background music, isn't it? It's an essential part of the Captain Power universe, echoing both its futuristic setting and the intense emotional journeys of the characters. And Guttman brought something special to this work of his and to the series. And it's a sound that enhances every scene and embodies the emotional stakes of each episode, makes them come alive. So we're going to experience that as we go through these 12 tracks from the CD itself. Again, this is the CD that we're talking about. And composer Guttman occasionally gives a nod to his fellow film composers like John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith, and also to a couple of classical composers. At the very least, it would be Bela Bartok and Gustav Holst. But in the end, Gary Guttman is his own man with his own style, his own melodies, and his unique way of putting themes together and creating a sonic tapestry that draws you in. And I would say it this way, that Gary Guttman's music does more than accompany Captain Power. It amplifies it. His score is not just memorable, it's a narrative force that makes us feel every victory, every defeat, and every moment of suspense. And clearly there's quite a few of those in the series. And I think the music itself is on a par with the characters. And the soundtrack is truly a journey for the fans, with each of the musical cues drawing us deeper into the Captain Power universe. So it's clear to me that the power of these melodies and themes isn't just in the, I would say, the notes themselves, but in the memories, in the emotions that they create for all of us. And whether it's the thrill of battle, and we certainly have that in this music, or the quiet moments of reflection and we have those too. Or the sense of hope and sense of feeling of heroism that pervades the music. These are all central to the series, and Guttman's music still resonates deeply with fans of Captain Power and the soldiers of the future, wherever they may be. This bold, brassy composition pulls listeners in, setting the heroic tone for the adventures ahead. It's accompanied by the deep, commanding voice of Brad Crandall, which fans will recognize instantly. This track not only introduces us to the show's themes, but also provides an introduction to the storyline and action-packed world of Captain Power. And I don't know if you noticed, but I think that the mixing on the audio CD of this track favored the voice of Brad Crandall rather than the music, because when I listen and watch the episodes on video, it seems like the music and the sound effects are a bit more prominent than they were here.
Power on.
Captain Power and the soldiers of the future. Earth 2147. The legacy of the Metal Wars, when man fought machine and machines won. Biodreads, monstrous creations that hunt down human survivors and digitize them. Volcania, center of the Biodread Empire, stronghold and fortress of Lord Dread, feared ruler of this new order. But from the fires of the Metal Wars arose a new breed of warrior, born and trained to bring down Lord Dread and his Biodread Empire. They were soldiers of the future, mankind's last hope. Their leader, Captain Jonathan Power, master of the incredible power suits which transform each soldier into a one-man attack force. Major Matthew Hawk Masterson, fighter in the sky. Lieutenant Michael Tank Ellis, ground assault unit. Sergeant Robert Scout Baker, espionage and communications. And Corporal Jennifer Pilot Chase, tactical systems expert. Together they form the most powerful fighting force in Earth's history. Their creed, to protect all life. Their promise, to end Lord Dread's rule. Their name, Captain Power and the soldiers of the future.
Well, that was Get Ready, and it's all about anticipation. The percussion here gave us a rattling of sabers feel, suggesting an imminent conflict, and the intensity of this piece can make your heart race, setting the stage for an epic battle. And those brass and percussive accents, they just keep us on edge. Love Theme showcases Guttman's range as a composer, and it's brimming with musical ideas. It opens with a haunting English horn theme, creating a sense of longing, while the strings bring in a soft, almost yearning quality. This track is so expressive that it doesn't need words to describe it, as it gently captures those rare tender moments in the series, reminding us of the human connections beneath all the armor and the battles. Fans associate this music with scenes between Captain Power and Pilot, in which their affection for each other is hinted at but never fully realized or expressed. It is in fact a tragic, unfulfilled love. The brass counterpoint to the surging strings is reminiscent of epic space film music. The final few seconds at the end is occasionally used in the series to close out an episode on a reflective note, and composer Guttman has said that it is the most discussed music of any that he has ever written. Now, with Big Battle, we dive straight into the action. This is an action-packed sequence. This track has it all: brass fanfares, mounting crescendos, and a glimpse of the Captain Power theme. Guttman builds the tension expertly, making us feel as though we're right there on the front lines, fighting alongside our heroes. About halfway through the piece, we definitely hear the influence of some of John Williams' music. This is great, what I call driving music, to have playing in the car. For Air Battle, Guttman wrote a track that perfectly suits Hawk's aerial combat with Sauron. This piece gives us rapid-fire trumpets and horns, pounding timpani, and heroic brass fanfares. In fact, I love how there's an unexpected gong crash after the Captain Power theme is introduced. And I'd like to mention that the decision the composer made to introduce the gong instead of, say, a cymbal crash is one of color, and it really shows he has a fine ear for the type of effect that he's trying to create in his music. Now, this is a fast-paced, sky-high battle anthem that makes us feel like we're flying right up there alongside of Hawk, diving and weaving through the action. And there's a nice solo for the trombone in there also. The fade-out features a repeated call, almost like a signal being sent. Which brings us to Bursting Through, which is an ominous and relentless track of music that often accompanies the evil Biodread warlord Blastar and his ruthless advances. With every beat, we feel the tension rise as the music mirrors the unstoppable force of this terrifying and monstrous antagonist. At the end of the track, we hear a quiet, eerie ending that seems ambiguous. It is so much fun to listen to these musical cues or tracks. Now, in Abandoned Streets, Guttman shifts to eerie dystopian sounds. What is dystopian? The opposite of utopian. It's something that we don't want our future world to be like that. The dystopian sounds include the strings and percussion, which create an atmosphere of desolation. The French horns swoop in and add to the sense of a post-apocalyptic world, empty streets, and an eerie calm before the storm. The next piece, Quiet Buildup, is the longest track on the album, and one of the most impressive. Guttman combines lurching strings, warlike brass fanfares, and a march that builds to a powerful climax with the Captain Power theme. Toward the end, the strings make for a positive resolution to the warlike noise that is going on, amid swooping horns and prominent trumpets. This track symbolizes both struggle and triumph, a perfect embodiment of the Captain Power spirit. Now, this next track is not lengthy. In fact, it's quite brief at 17 seconds. Volcania may be short, but it's certainly evocative. The low brass paint a chilling picture of Lord Dread's lair. Fans of the series will recognize it instantly, and in just a few seconds, composer Guttman captures the essence of pure villainy and menace. The track Eden 2 is a breath of fresh air after all the strife we've been listening to. The music here is enchanting, even idyllic, a glimpse into a peaceful world far removed from war. It sounds otherworldly, in addition to being a simple theme repeated over and over. But Gary Guttman's music paints a colorful picture here, and this track showcases his versatility, contrasting sharply with the show's intense battle themes. Now, speaking of battles, in Triumphant Battle, composer Gary Guttman gives us a sense of struggle and ultimate victory. Trumpets and trombones lead the charge, and there's also a free-spirited interlude for strings about 3/4 of the way into the piece. It's triumphant and stirring, bringing listeners right into the action. Well, this brings us to the final track today. We have here the Captain Power end title, capturing the thrilling end to each episode as we navigate through the trench with Captain Power himself. Now, the triumphant crescendo here leaves us with a sense of accomplishment, making a highly satisfying ending to our musical journey. However, I do miss the spoken words and sound effects that accompany this music in the videos, but it's in my head, and I can easily imagine all of that taking place when I listen to this track. Well, it's time to go, and I'm just going to hold the CD right there as we conclude. And I would just say this to you: if you're a fan of the series, listening to this rare compact disc is like stepping back into the thrilling universe of Captain Power, one note at a time. And that's all the time, speaking of time, that we have today. I'm Peter Morano, and I'm glad that you were able to join me for this discussion of the music, the wonderful music of Gary Guttman. And thank you all for listening. Thank you for keeping the Captain Power legacy alive and for being part of a community that honors the incredible piece of sci-fi history that we have here in this particular program. And I hope you will continue to find inspiration in not only the music, but also, of course, the story and the characters, the wonderful actors that brought everything to life on the screen. So, in closing, stay strong, stay focused, and when the circumstance requires it, power on. Until next time, bye-bye.